as a continuation of lawful compensation practices and broker supervision in property management. Arizona law places strict record retention requirements on licensees and designated brokers who manage property on behalf of others. These requirements exist to protect consumers, ensure transparency, and allow regulators to audit transactions involving rents, security deposits, maintenance expenses, and trust funds. Proper record keeping is not optional in property management. It is a core compliance duty tied directly to a licensee's obligation of reasonable care and broker supervision. In Arizona, property management records retention is governed primarily by ARS Title 32, Chapter 20, and the Arizona Administrative Code, enforced by the Arizona Department of Real Estate. Under AAC R4-28-1103 and AAC R4-28-802, designated brokers are responsible for establishing, maintaining, and supervising systems that ensure complete, accurate, and retrievable records for all managed properties. This duty applies whether the brokerage manages a single rental home or hundreds of residential or commercial units. Licensees engaged in property management must retain records for a minimum of 5 years from the date of creation or from the termination of the property management agreement, whichever occurs later. These records must be available for inspection by the department upon request. Required records include, but are not limited to, property management agreements, rental agreements, or leases, tenant applications, trust account ledgers, receipts and disbursements, maintenance invoices, security deposit accounting, bank statements, and correspondence related to tenant or owner funds. Each record must clearly identify the property, the owner, and the transaction to which it relates. For example, when a brokerage manages a single-family rental, the licensee must retain the signed management agreement, the executed lease, documentation showing receipt and disposition of the tenant's security deposit, monthly rent ledgers, and records of any repairs paid from owner funds. If the property management agreement is terminated, the broker must still retain these records for the required period, even though the brokerage no longer manages the property. Failure to do so can result in administrative discipline for inadequate supervision or improper handling of trust funds. Record retention requirements are especially critical when trust accounts are involved. Under ARS Section 32-2175, brokers must maintain detailed trust account records that show the exact flow of money into and out of the account, including deposits, withdrawals, and balances for each property and each owner. These records must reconcile with bank statements and be capable of demonstrating that tenant funds were never commingled with broker or owner operating funds. Inadequate or missing records are among the most common grounds for disciplinary action in property management audits. Electronic record keeping is permitted under Arizona law, provided that records are legible, secure, and readily accessible. Digital storage systems must allow the department to review records without delay, and brokers must ensure that electronic files are backed up and protected against alteration or loss. Whether records are maintained in paper or electronic form, the responsibility for compliance always rests with the designated broker, not with individual salespersons or administrative staff. Consider a scenario in which a tenant disputes the return of a security deposit 6 months after moving out. If the property manager cannot produce a move-in condition report, repair invoices, and an itemized accounting showing lawful deductions, the broker may face both civil liability and administrative discipline. Proper records retention protects not only consumers, but also licensees and property owners from unnecessary disputes and regulatory exposure. Review summary. Arizona licensees engaged in property management must retain property management records for at least 3 years and ensure they are complete, accurate, and available for department review. Required records include management agreements, leases, trust account documentation, receipts, disbursements, and correspondence related to tenant and owner funds. Designated brokers are ultimately responsible for supervising record-keeping systems and ensuring compliance, particularly where trust accounts are involved. Discussion. Why does Arizona require extended retention of property management records? Answer. To protect consumers, allow regulatory audits, and verify proper handling of trust funds. Who is ultimately responsible for property management record retention? Answer. The designated broker. Are electronic records permitted under Arizona law? Answer. Yes, if they are legible, secure, and readily accessible for inspection. Closing remarks. Strong record retention practices are the backbone of lawful property management. In a field where licensees routinely handle money that belongs to others, documentation is the primary safeguard against errors, disputes, and misconduct. Arizona's record retention rules reinforce professionalism, accountability, and consumer trust, while providing licensees with protection when questions or conflicts arise years after a transaction has ended.